the game. I don't want to delay it because I know there's been loads of stuff in the group chat today. How are you feeling about it, Potsy? Because you guys went up there. People expected you to lose. You've walked away with a draw. Your style of football is being called out. Clubs are writing letters about you to the PGMOL about the way you're currently playing football. The media is attacking you. City fans seem to be rattled left, right, and centre. What are you saying, Potsy?
Yeah, it's brilliant, man. Arsenal are relevant again. We're rattling everybody. And I don't know why. And I can always say this. We seem to rattle people and we haven't won anything for 5 years. I don't see why people get so rattled about a team that actually hasn't won anything for 5 years. It's crazy. It's like we are actually winning trophies. People are so bothered about us. Crazy. I don't really understand the hate, if I'm honest. When you play Manchester City at the Etihad with 11, it's hard enough. To go defensive when you've got 10 men, I don't really know any other team in the Premier League other than Spurs under Ange that would have played a different way than what we did, because you got to. Otherwise, this is a team that are ridiculously good. They're supposed to be the best in the land. So why would you go attacking against them with 10 men? It's foolish. So I understood it. I don't think anyone was shocked that we went defensive. Potentially people were shocked that we went that defensive because literally we played a 5 and a 4 and then a 6 and a 3, which I've never seen before, if I'm honest. But it was so defensive. The boys defended for their lives. And unfortunately, it weren't able to get the 3 points in the end, but we did go away with a point. And I think we were actually the ones that were actually disappointed. Now, when it went down to down to 10, should I say, I think every Man City fan was like, oh, thank God, 3 points is our way. It's a given. So to come out not losing, like I thought we would when we went down to 10, I'm, of course, happy in a way and proud, but kind of like sad that we weren't able to cling on for a few more seconds. Lots to talk about, lots to kind of dissect. If I'm honest with you, I don't really get the response, if I'm honest. I find it so weird that both Arsenal and Man City fans seem so rattled. There seems to be quite a lot of hatred between the two clubs overnight. It seems this is a proper rivalry now. I looked on the pitch and Tel, you're probably a good person to talk to about this because you know growing up like I that Manchester United and Arsenal was very similar to that. You know, there seemed to be a genuine hatred between Gabriel and Haaland, and Arteta and Pep were apparently on the bench getting a little bit heated. Obviously, we saw them shake hands and give each other a hug at the end of the game. But other than that, there was literally no kind of love lost between everybody on the pitch, it seemed. And now it looks like Arsenal fans and City fans are going at each other online and social media. And, you know, I was speaking to Martin yesterday, actually. He made a good point. The Wenger and Fergie and Keenan Vieira days were before social media. And I'm really interested to see if there is going to be a genuine Wenger and Fergie potential rivalry, what that might look like now with social media involved. I thought it was a really good point because it could get quite nasty.
I totally agree. I mean, I tweeted about this Sunday evening. And this is, for me, praise to both clubs. It's a proper rivalry between the two of you. The managers are still on good terms, but I think that's because they are genuine friends. But the players kicking off with each other, balls being thrown at people. It's not quite Pizzagate, but balls being thrown at people's heads. The benches fighting with one another. For me, this is... I can't talk for other leagues. I don't watch them with the same regularity I did the Premier League growing up. But for me, this has been missing in the... This is why, when you talk about which era of the Premier League was better, Pep's team would have competed against any of the other great Premier League teams. But what was missing from Pep's era against Klopp was a rivalry. Because I don't think there was respect and it was great football matches, but I think it misses needle. We all think of El Clasico, there's needle. You know, you're talking Fenerbahce versus Galatasaray, there's needle. The Glasgow Derby, the rivalry there's needle. There is not a rivalry in any European league that doesn't have needle to it. And that was the only disappointing thing with the Liverpool one. It was a little bit too friendly, if that kind of made sense. And the only thing I'm gutted about with this rivalry is that my team isn't involved in it. But this is going to add to... I think that's why there's been such fallout after the game. When you've got Bernardo Silva talking about, well, maybe it's because they haven't won trophies. It just feels different. Liverpool came here and did things differently. I'm not even hating on the guy. I get why he's saying this because he's rattled by it. Every single manager I've ever heard talk about the game doesn't want to be praised by the other manager of another team after a game when they've beaten that side or stopped that side. They almost want you to be a little bit narky with them because it means you've got under their skin a little bit. This sort of, I've seen lots of City fans online do it. LB doesn't, to be fair. This sort of like, oh, do you know what? Inter Milan were cowards. I love it when teams come in here and attack, and we beat them 5-0, but fair play for them for opening up and trying to beat us in that way. And I just sort of sit there and think to myself, I'm not falling for it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I love the rivalry. I don't know about you, LB. Do you feel like this rivalry starting to really build up between your two clubs?
It is, but Arsenal need to win something for it to be a true rivalry. You know what I mean? Because they can turn up, they can play this style of football, we can have the fights on the pitch or whatever. But if City keep on sweeping all the trophies, then it's not really a rivalry, right? So Arsenal need to start winning trophies to make it a proper rivalry. Because I'm even with, and we'll speak about it in a bit, even with the absence of Rodri, I'm still confident we'll go on and win the league. In the end, it was a decent point. We got a point there last year and still won the league. So I still think we'll win the league. So for me, for the rivalry to really go up a notch, I think Arsenal need to win something. And I think, if they can win the Premier League, then, providing Pep stays next year, then we'll have a proper battle, because then the Arsenal v City games will actually mean like this could decide the title. But I still think most people probably still have City for the title. I still think even though Rodri's gone, I still think people will probably have us as favourites. So yeah, there is a bit of a rivalry there on the pitch. All I've seen in the last 48 hours is City fans saying Arsenal are rattled and Arsenal fans saying City are rattled. I'm certainly not rattled. I'll take the point. We scored in the 98th minute equaliser. If anything, I think Arsenal probably one's a bit more gutted than City, because they were seconds away from winning the football match and didn't. But yeah, it's funny. I've seen Arsenal fans that are rattled. I mean, they're still speaking about the referee today, even though the game ended on Sunday. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We take a point, we move on. Like, it is what it is, man. But yeah, the rivalry's there. I think Arsenal need to win some stuff, though, before it's a proper rivalry.
Do you get why we set up like that in the second half, LB? Because, someone compared it yesterday, and I thought it was great, to when Tottenham went down and got red cards against Chelsea, and Ange just kept playing the same way, and they got battered, and Jackson got a hat-trick. Like, can you imagine if we did that at the Etihad? Like, Haaland would have an absolute field day. Listen, I'm sure City fans would have loved to have seen it, which is perhaps why some of them are rattled about why we set up that way, and it was frustrating to get through us. But surely people can understand why we did that.
Listen, I understand why you did it. Like, I don't think we would have done that, but that doesn't make my club right or my opinion right or you're wrong. Like, at the end of the day, you play 45 minutes against the best team in the country and come away with a draw. Like, you probably should have lost based off of that. I just think City were really poor in the second half. I'm going to tell you straight. I think we were really poor in the second half. I dismiss this whole thing that Arsenal defended magnificently. I thought you did what you needed to do, but I thought we made it easy for you. For the full 45 minutes, we had a Kanji, Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz shooting and crossing. I mean, I'm not being funny. I probably could have defended for 45 minutes with them players in there. So, listen, Arsenal did their job. I think you defended better last year, if I'm being honest with you. I just think that we was really poor. I think Pep Guardiola had a really bad day at the office. Tactical setup in the second half was poor. Substitutions was poor. Starting 11, you can question that as well. So it is what it is. So it's a weird one for me, because I look at everything that Pep got wrong on Sunday, yeah, and I go, so to get away with a point against Arsenal when he's got all those decisions wrong is actually not a bad result. But then at the same time, I do think he was there for the taking. I mean, first 20 minutes, we was all over you. Rodri getting injured, and then the goal. So after, we were rattled. Then second 25 minutes in the first half, we was rattled. He was on top of us, and to be honest with you, I was fearing the worst, man. And then obviously Trossard got sent off, which was 100% the correct decision. And then we were just trashing the second half. That's basically it. So yeah, in the end, I'll take the point. Not particularly happy with it, because I felt the win was there. But it is what it is.
What did you make of Michael Oliver's performance from a City point of view? Because I've been told that he was worse for City than he was for Arsenal by City fans.
I literally don't understand why anyone's speaking about the referee. I can't lie, bro. Like, for me, there's literally nothing to talk about. Like, I thought he refereed the game pretty chill, just a standard performance. Trossard kicked the ball away. His foul alone could have been a yellow card, by the way, yeah, because it wasn't a particularly great challenge. And then he kicked the ball away. I mean, I really don't know what people are moaning at. I can't believe the outrage from Arsenal fans about the referee, yet again, failing to take accountability. And then Arteta to hug Trossard as he's walking off. This guy's potentially cost you 2 points there. So no, I really don't understand what people are moaning about the referee for. Take responsibility. Yeah, we all know these referees are on it for kicking the ball away. You had a player sent off a couple of weeks ago for kicking the ball away, and Trossard goes and smacks the ball. And like I say, the challenge itself was stupid. He was never getting the ball in the first place. So yeah, bro, I can't lie, man. Like, I found the reaction from Arsenal fans to the referee very strange, mate.
What about the Kyle Walker one then? What about that one? Was you annoyed?
I say, well, no. Go and watch my match reaction. Go and watch my watch along. Bro, I blame Kyle Walker. I think the referee should let him get back in there. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he has given quite a lot of time to get back in position, and he's fucking dilly-dallying all the way back. You know what I mean?
Agree.
He's talking back, sprint back. I put that at sort of like a 70% fault Kyle Walker, 30% fault the referee. Because I understand what Walker's saying, but he's still giving plenty of time. So nah,
I think like in fighting, it's almost that element of protect yourself at all times. And Kyle Walker, I think, was a little bit lackadaisical in that. Equally, I agree with you. I've been called out by a few people for defending the Trossard red card, but I haven't. I've said he deserved to be sent off. I've had a lot of Arsenal fans DM me, say, watch it again. He was trying to pass the ball out to Martinelli. He wasn't booting it clear. There's nothing I've seen that doesn't suggest it's a yellow. Where I do challenge the referee, though, isn't, and I think this is where the conversation becomes a little bit muddied, and I don't think everybody words it very well. We saw Doku in the first half do something similar to what Declan Rice did, and there's contention over that because some saying he tried to pass.
Yeah, but the referee's telling him to pass the ball over there. He's saying the ball's not in the right spot, so he's passed it back.
So that's the argument in that, but then the ball still ends up further away from what ends up further away than where it was meant to be. But at the same time, all the data is now starting to come out about the amount of players who have delayed restarts this year versus how many yellow cards have been given out. Now, Trossard's one's really obvious because he's booted it away. But then we've seen Pedro boot the ball away and not get a yellow card. Szoboszlai for Liverpool on a yellow card. Michael Oliver, the referee, boots the ball away, not given a second yellow card. And I think that I think in the game, in isolation, I think Trossard's got to take responsibility for getting himself sent off. However, there is a wider conversation about the inconsistencies from the referees. Even like the time added on at the end of the game, I said in my match reaction, and I'll always hold my hands up if I get things wrong. I felt that 7 minutes wasn't enough. I felt like much longer was going to be added.
I agree. I thought like 10 minutes. And by the way, Timber was down for the first 90 seconds of the injury time.
But then it turns out the ball was in play for more of that 45 minutes. It was in play for 35 minutes of the 45. But that's more time with the ball in play. So think of all the cramps, the substitutions, the goal kicks. The ball was in play more in that last 45 minutes than in any other 45-minute period in any of the other 49 games played so far this season. So then it begs the question, once this information comes out, well, why isn't every half in the Premier League had at least 7 minutes of added on time if that had the least amount of time wasted in it so far this season? Now, as fans, I'm allowed to get that wrong in real time because I am not assessing how much time should be added on based on facts. It's based on what I assume it is because I'm not sitting there officially timekeeping the game, right? I'm not a referee. I'm not an official. So all of those elements, I think, are fair to be challenged. But the problem is the way they're presented. And I keep calling out everyone for that. Everyone's guilty of it. People try and make it sound like City cheated. They didn't. The referees made mistakes. When the decision goes Tottenham's way, Tottenham didn't cheat. The referee made a mistake. And as soon as you start attacking the club who benefits, tribalism kicks in and nobody's listening to the conversation. And I do think referees so far this season, and you go back last year and look at some of the mistakes. I went back and looked at some of the mistakes they made last year, from Willy Bolly sending off 2 non-penalties that Wolves conceded for their opponents kicking the fucking floor. There have been so many, and as football fans, we're not talking about them because we're so tribalistic. We keep pointing a finger at each other like we're actually paying referees is going on. I find it mental. It's almost we're at a point where we're not having the right conversations because we're too eager to slag each other off as football clubs, as opposed to focusing on what the real problem is here. And it's hugely inconsistent refereeing across the board, in my opinion. But on the Trossard one, absolutely, I agree. That is absolutely on him, which is why I said I felt that.